Welcome to Quiet Mind Collective. I'm so glad you're here. This is a place to slow down, take a breath, and give your mind a moment to rest. Here, we'll explore peace, personal growth, the mind, emotions, habits, healing, and the thoughts that can sometimes keep us stuck. Today, I'm especially excited to share our newest audiobook, Stop Having the Same Conversation with Yourself. Have you ever replayed an old argument in your head? Thought about what you should have said? Worried about something that hasn't even happened? Or found yourself having the same conversation with yourself over and over again? You're not alone. This audiobook is about recognizing those mental patterns, learning to challenge the thoughts that keep us stuck, and discovering that you don't have to respond to every thought that enters your mind. So wherever you are right now, get comfortable. Take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax, and give yourself permission to simply be here. My hope is that what you hear today brings you peace, clarity, encouragement, and a fresh perspective. Something you can carry with you long after this video ends. If you're new to Quiet Mind Collective, welcome to the community. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment letting me know what topics you'd love to hear next. Now, take a breath, settle in, and let's begin. Breaking free from overthinking, rewriting your inner dialogue, and finding peace. The conversation nobody else can hear. Before you even realized it, your mind has already started talking to you today. Not out loud, not in a way anyone else can notice, but quietly, relentlessly. You are already inside a conversation you didn't choose. You replay things you said yesterday. You rehearse things you might say tomorrow. You revisit moments that still sting, even if they happened years ago. And sometimes, it feels like you are stuck inside the same scene, trying to rewrite a line that has already been spoken. No one else sees this. No one else hears it, but you feel it. The tension in your chest when you remember something embarrassing. The heat of anger when you replay an old argument. The sinking feeling of regret when you imagine what you should have done. And often, without realizing it, you become both the person speaking and the person being judged. This is where most people live more than they admit. Not in the present moment, but in a private loop of thoughts that never fully ends. And here is the part that changes everything. You are not required to keep responding to every thought your mind produces. Not every memory needs a replay. Not every imagined conversation needs a response. Not every feeling needs to become a story you relive again. Your mind is active, but it is not always accurate. It is loud, but it is not always right. It is familiar, but it is not always helpful. And just because a thought appears does not mean you have to continue it. Take a breath. Because this book is not about forcing your mind to go silent. It is about something simpler and far more powerful. Learning that you can stop participating in conversations that hurt you. Grounding exercise. Place one hand on your chest and take 5 slow breaths. Afterwards say, right now I'm safe enough to pause. You don't have to solve anything yet. Just pause. Chapter 1. The conversation you keep replaying. There is a conversation you may have had hundreds of times. The strange thing is, the other person may not even know you're still having it. Maybe it happened yesterday. Maybe it happened 10 years ago. Maybe it was a breakup, an argument, a betrayal, a criticism, a moment when someone said something that cut deeper than they realized. You remember exactly what they said, and then your mind begins. I should have said this. Why didn't I say that? If I had another chance, and suddenly you're back there. Your body may even react as though the moment is happening again. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tense. Your emotions rise. But look around. You are not there. You're here. The conversation is over. The room is different. The day is different. You are different. Yet your mind has transported you backward. Why? Because the human mind likes unfinished stories. When something feels unresolved, we naturally want an ending. We want the explanation. We want justice. We want the apology. We want to know why. And when we don't get those things, our minds sometimes keep returning to the scene. But here's the problem. Replaying the conversation doesn't change the conversation. It only changes your present moment. You give yesterday another hour, then another, and another. Eventually, something that happened for 10 minutes can occupy 10 years of emotional space. That doesn't mean your pain wasn't real. It means your pain deserves something better than endless repetition. You deserve to live beyond the moment that hurt you. A new question. The next time you catch yourself replaying an old conversation, don't immediately try to force it away. Instead ask, what am I hoping will happen by replaying this? Maybe you're hoping they'll understand. Maybe you're hoping you'll finally feel justified. Maybe you're trying to protect yourself from being hurt again. Maybe you're trying to find the moment when everything went wrong. Whatever the answer is, listen to it. Then gently remind yourself, I don't have to solve the past tonight. You can learn from it. You can grieve it. You can acknowledge it. And then you can come home to the present. Chapter 2. The argument that never ends. Some people leave a conversation physically, but mentally they never leave. They walk away. They get in their car. They go home. They make dinner. They go to bed. But inside their mind, the argument continues. You should have told them they were wrong. I can't believe they said that. If they ever say that again, I'm going to... And you continue defending yourself to someone who isn't even standing in front of you. There is something important to understand. Sometimes your mind believes that continuing the argument is protecting you. It tells you, if I think about it enough, I'll be prepared next time. But constantly rehearsing conflict doesn't necessarily prepare you. Sometimes it simply keeps your nervous system stuck in the conflict. You don't need to win an imaginary argument to prove that you were hurt. You don't need to come up with the perfect response. You don't need to mentally prosecute someone every night. You can know that something was wrong without spending your entire day proving it to yourself. And sometimes the strongest response is no longer responding. Not because you don't care, because you finally care enough about your peace to stop participating. Ask yourself, am I trying to solve something? Or am I trying to feel different about something that has already happened? Those are two different things. If there's something you can genuinely do, have a conversation, apologize, set a boundary, make a decision, then take the appropriate action. But if there is nothing left to do, let the conversation end. You don't have to keep reopening the courtroom. Chapter 3. The apology you never received. There is a kind of pain that comes from waiting. Waiting for someone to say, I'm sorry. Waiting for someone to admit, I was wrong. Waiting for someone to finally understand what they did to you. Sometimes they will. Sometimes they won't. And this is one of the hardest lessons in healing. You cannot make another person become the person you needed them to be. You can ask. You can communicate. You can explain, but you cannot control their heart. And if your healing depends entirely on their apology, you have handed them the keys to your peace. Maybe they never apologize. Maybe they minimize what happened. Maybe they don't even remember it the way you do. That hurts. But your life cannot remain permanently paused at the door of someone else's accountability. You can acknowledge, what happened hurt me. It wasn't okay. I deserved better. And then say, I choose to heal anyway. Forgiveness doesn't mean giving someone permission to hurt you again. Forgiveness doesn't mean trusting someone who hasn't earned your trust. Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. Sometimes forgiveness simply means, I will not allow this person's actions to determine the emotional direction of the rest of my life. You are allowed to release something even when the other person refuses to. Chapter 4. When someone else's voice becomes yours. Think about some of the things you say to yourself. I'm not good enough. I'm too much. I'm not attractive. I'm terrible at this. Nobody wants me. I'll never change. Now ask, where did I learn to speak to myself this way? Sometimes the harshest voice in our head didn't begin with us. Maybe someone criticized you repeatedly. Maybe you were compared to someone else. Maybe you were rejected. Maybe you were told you would never amount to anything. Maybe someone you loved made you feel like you were difficult to love. Eventually, their voice became familiar. And familiar voices can become invisible. You stop questioning them. You simply believe them. But familiarity isn't truth. Just because you've thought something for 20 years doesn't make it true. A lie repeated for a long time is still a lie. So begin separating the voices. Ask, is this actually my belief or is this something I learned? Then ask, do I still want to believe it? You are allowed to update the way you see yourself. You are allowed to discover that the person you were told you were isn't who you actually are. Chapter 5. The mistake you keep punishing yourself for. Maybe your mind has a favorite mistake. The one it brings up whenever you're already feeling bad. The one it uses as evidence. See? You always do this. This is why you can't trust yourself. You ruined everything. But making a mistake and being a mistake are not the same thing. You can regret something without condemning yourself. You can take responsibility without destroying your identity. There are 3 things you can do with a mistake. You can deny it, you can obsess over it, or you can learn from it. Learning sounds like, what happened? What was my part? What can I do differently next time? Then you move. Shame says, what's wrong with me? And it keeps asking the same question without ever creating a solution. If you could go back, maybe you would choose differently. But you can't. And that means your power isn't in changing yesterday. Your power is in deciding what yesterday teaches you about today. You don't need to keep punishing yourself for something you've already learned from. At some point, accountability needs to become growth. Chapter 6. The future disaster that hasn't happened. Have you ever worried about something so intensely that you felt exhausted before it even happened? Your mind starts creating possibilities. What if they leave? What if I fail? What if something goes wrong? What if they don't like me? What if I lose everything? What if something terrible happens? The problem isn't that your brain asks questions. The problem is when every question receives the worst possible answer. Your mind says, what if? And fear says, here's everything that could go wrong. You experience the emotional consequences of an event that may never happen. This is why learning to return to the present is so powerful. Ask, is this happening right now? If the answer is no, take another breath. Look around. Notice where you are. Feel your feet. Listen to the sounds around you. You are here. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Not in the imaginary disaster your mind created. Here. You don't need tomorrow's strength today. When tomorrow arrives, you'll deal with tomorrow. For now, live today. Chapter 7. When a thought becomes an identity. There is a huge difference between saying, I am having a hard time, and saying, I am a mess. One describes an experience. The other creates an identity. Pay attention to your language. I'm a failure. I'm terrible with relationships. I'm always anxious. I'm just an angry person. I'm incapable. These statements can become mental cages. Try something different. Instead of, I'm a failure, say, I experienced failure. Instead of, I'm broken, say, I'm hurting and I'm healing. Instead of, I can't change, say, change is difficult for me, but I'm learning. Your words don't magically fix everything, but they can change the direction of your thinking. You are a person experiencing life. You are not every experience you've had. Chapter 8. You don't have to believe every thought. Your mind can produce thousands of thoughts. Some are useful. Some are random. Some are memories. Some are fears. Some are assumptions. Some are completely ridiculous. Yet we often treat every thought as an instruction. A thought says, they don't like me. We believe it. A thought says, something bad is going to happen. We believe it. A thought says, you aren't good enough. We believe it. But what if you simply became an observer? I'm noticing the thought that they don't like me. I'm noticing that I'm imagining the worst. I'm noticing that I'm being hard on myself. Notice the difference. You are no longer inside the thought. You're observing it. This creates space, and space gives you a choice. You can ask, is this true? Is this useful? Do I need to act on this? Sometimes the answer will be yes. Sometimes it will be no. The goal isn't to control every thought. The goal is to stop allowing every thought to control you. Chapter 9. Change the response. You may not be able to control the first thought, but you can practice controlling the second one. The first thought says, I'm not good enough. The second can say, I'm learning. The first says, everyone is ahead of me. The second says, their timeline isn't mine. The first says, I ruined everything. The second says, I still have choices. This is where change begins, not when your mind becomes perfectly positive, but when you stop automatically agreeing with the negative voice. Imagine you've been driving down the same road for years. Your brain knows the route. It doesn't require effort, but if you want to go somewhere different, you have to take a different turn. Your mind works similarly. Old thoughts create familiar pathways. New thoughts require practice. At first, the new response may feel unnatural. That's okay. Keep practicing. Eventually, the new path becomes more familiar. Chapter 10. The power of pause. There is a tiny space between a thought and a response. That space may only last a few seconds, but it can change everything. Someone says something hurtful. You feel anger. Before responding, pause. You receive a message. You feel rejected. Before assuming what it means, pause. You remember something painful. Before diving into the memory, pause. The pause is where choice lives. You don't have to react immediately. You can breathe. You can wait. You can gather information. You can decide. Try this. Stop. S. Stop. Don't immediately react. T. Take a breath. Slow everything down. Observe. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? P. Proceed intentionally. Choose your response instead of letting your first emotion choose it for you. A pause can prevent a conversation you regret. A pause can prevent an assumption from becoming a belief. A pause can give you back control. Chapter 11. You don't have to figure everything out. Some people are exhausted because they believe they must understand everything. Why did they do that? Why did this happen? What does it mean? What if? What should I do? What will happen? Sometimes there is no immediate answer, and that is okay. You can live with an unanswered question. You can say, I don't know yet. Those 3 words can be incredibly freeing. You don't have to solve your entire future tonight. You don't have to understand every person who hurt you. You don't have to know exactly where your life is going. You only need to take the next step you can see. Sometimes peace comes not from finding another answer, but from realizing you don't need one right now. Chapter 12. Learning to be quiet inside. A quiet mind doesn't mean a mind with no thoughts. It means you don't chase every thought. You don't argue with every thought. You don't analyze every thought. You let some thoughts pass. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves float by. You notice them, but you don't jump into the river to grab every leaf. Thoughts can be like that. Notice. Breathe. Let them pass. You might think, what if? Notice it. Breathe. I'm noticing fear. Then return to your breathing, to your surroundings, to the moment, to what is actually happening. If you are a person of faith, this can also become a moment of surrender. You can say, God, I don't know how to carry this anymore. I give it to you. You don't have to pretend you aren't afraid. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. You can simply admit, I need help carrying this. Sometimes surrender isn't giving up. Sometimes surrender is finally putting down what you were never meant to carry alone. Chapter 13. Stop explaining yourself. One of the most exhausting conversations is the one where you're constantly trying to prove your worth. Prove that you're good. Prove that you care. Prove that you're not the person they think you are. Prove that your intentions were good. Prove that you deserve respect. There comes a point when you have to realize not everyone will understand you, and you don't have to spend your life correcting every misunderstanding. There is freedom in knowing who you are, even when someone else doesn't. You can explain yourself when necessary. You can communicate. You can apologize when you're wrong, but you don't need to live in a constant courtroom defending your existence. Your worth isn't determined by everyone's opinion of you. Let some people misunderstand. Let some people leave. Let some people have their version of the story. You know your heart, and sometimes that's enough. Chapter 14. The person you are becoming. Maybe you've spent so much time thinking about who you were that you forgot to ask who you're becoming. Your past deserves compassion, but your future deserves attention too. Who do you want to become? Someone calmer? Someone more confident? Someone who doesn't react immediately? Someone who sets healthy boundaries? Someone who stops living for approval? Someone who knows how to rest? Someone who trusts themselves again? Start there. You don't have to become that person tomorrow. You simply have to practice becoming them today. One decision, one thought, one boundary, one habit, one conversation, one day. Your future self is being built by the choices you're making right now. Chapter 15. Give yourself permission to move forward. Moving forward can feel like betrayal. You may think, if I stop thinking about it, does that mean it didn't matter? No, it mattered. But you matter too. You can honor what happened without remaining trapped inside it. You can miss someone and still move forward. You can love someone and still choose distance. You can regret something and still forgive yourself. You can remember your past without living there. Healing doesn't erase history. It changes your relationship with it. One day you may remember something that once destroyed your peace. And instead of falling apart, you'll simply think, that was a painful chapter. Then you'll keep walking. That is progress. Chapter 16. The conversation you choose from now on. Now we come to the most important part. What will you say to yourself from here? When you make a mistake, I can learn from this. When someone rejects you, their decision doesn't determine my worth. When you're afraid, I can handle one moment at a time. When you don't know what comes next, I don't need every answer today. When the past returns, that happened then, I am here now. When you feel behind, my journey is still unfolding. When your mind tells you that you're incapable, I am still learning. This is your new conversation. Not fake positivity, not pretending everything is perfect. Truth, compassion, perspective, hope. You are learning to become someone who doesn't automatically believe the cruelest thing their mind can say. And that is powerful. The 30-day inner conversation reset. For the next 30 days, carry a small notebook with you. Whenever you notice a thought that repeatedly brings you down, write 4 things, day after day. 1. The thought. What did I tell myself? 2. The feeling. What did that thought make me feel? 3. The truth. What do I actually know? 4. The new response. What would I rather tell myself? For example, thought, I'm never going to change. Feeling, hopeless. Truth, I have struggled to change, but I've also changed before. New response, I don't have to change everything today. I can take one step. Do this for 30 days. Not because 30 days magically fixes the mind, but because awareness creates the opportunity for change. A letter to the person who is tired. If you're listening to this because you're exhausted from your own thoughts, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not weak because your mind gets loud. You are not failing because you overthink. You are not broken because some memories still hurt. You are human, and you may have been carrying things for a very long time. Maybe nobody knows how tired you really are. Maybe you smile around everyone else. Maybe you go to work, take care of your family, handle responsibilities, show up, but inside you're exhausted. If that's you, let this be your permission to pause. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You don't have to make every decision today. You don't have to understand every chapter of your life. Just breathe. You are here, and here is still a place where something new can begin. Leave the conversation. There will probably be a day when the old thought comes back. The old memory, the old fear, the old argument, the old voice. When it happens, don't be afraid. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to spend the next 3 hours trying to understand why it appeared. Simply notice and say, I've had this conversation before. Then breathe, look around, come back to the room, come back to today, come back to your life. Because your life is not happening in the conversation inside your head. Your life is happening right here, right now, There is a future waiting for you that doesn't require you to keep carrying every piece of your past. There are mornings you haven't seen, people you haven't met, places you haven't gone, lessons you haven't learned, laughter you haven't laughed, peace you haven't experienced yet. Don't let an old conversation convince you that your story is finished. It isn't. You are still becoming. And perhaps the greatest change doesn't begin when you stop having thoughts. Perhaps it begins when you realize you don't have to obey them. You can notice them, question them, challenge them, release them, and choose again. So the next time your mind takes you back to that argument, pause. The next time it tells you you're not enough, pause. The next time it predicts disaster, pause. The next time it reminds you of your worst mistake, pause. And ask, do I really want to have this conversation again? Maybe the answer will be no. Maybe this time you'll choose peace. Maybe this time you'll choose the present. Maybe this time you'll choose yourself. And maybe that's where the new chapter begins. Not because everything changed overnight, but because you changed the conversation. Before you finish this audiobook, close your eyes if you're somewhere safe to do so. Take a slow breath in and slowly breathe out. Think about the conversation you've been carrying. You don't have to name it. You don't have to explain it. Just acknowledge it. And then quietly say, I don't have to carry this the same way anymore. Breathe. Again, the past is part of my story, but it does not have to control my future. Breathe. And one more time, I am allowed to move forward. Let those words sit with you. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to feel completely different right away. Healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes healing looks like one less replay, one less argument in your head, one kinder sentence toward yourself, one moment where you choose not to react, one night where you finally let yourself rest, one morning where you wake up and decide, today I am going to be present for my own life. That is enough for today. If something in this audiobook spoke to you, I hope you don't simply listen to it and move on. Take one thought with you, one sentence, one idea. Maybe it's, I don't have to believe every thought I have. Maybe it's, I don't have to solve the past. Maybe it's, their opinion doesn't determine my worth. Or maybe it's simply, I am allowed to move forward. Keep that sentence close. Return to it when your mind gets loud. And remember, you don't have to have a perfect mind to have a peaceful life. You don't have to stop thinking. You simply have to learn which thoughts deserve your attention. And when the old conversation begins again, remember what you've learned here. You can pause. You can breathe. You can question it. You can choose. And you can leave. The conversation is over. Your life is waiting. Welcome back to the present, and welcome to the next chapter of your life. If this audiobook brought you peace, encouragement, or a new perspective, consider subscribing to Quiet Mind Collective. This channel is a place to slow down, breathe, reflect, and create a quieter space within a very noisy world. We'll continue exploring the mind, personal growth, peaceful living, habits, emotions, healing, and the thoughts that shape the way we experience our lives. And remember, you don't have to have every answer. You don't have to fix everything today. You don't have to keep having the same conversation. Take a breath, be present, be gentle with yourself, and keep moving forward. Welcome to Quiet Mind Collective. Your mind deserves a place to rest. Thank you so much for spending this time with me here at Quiet Mind Collective. I hope this audiobook gave you something you can carry with you, a little more peace, a little more clarity, and a reminder that you don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. If this message helped you in any way, please like this video. It really helps the channel grow and allows this message to reach someone else who may need it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Quiet Mind Collective and become part of our community. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next audiobook, peaceful reflection, or encouraging message. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What part of this audiobook spoke to you the most? You never know who might read your comment and realize they're not alone. So take a deep breath, give your mind permission to rest, and remember, you don't have to keep having the same conversation. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of yourself, be gentle with your mind, and keep choosing peace. This is Quiet Mind Collective. Your mind deserves a place to rest.